Juan, I think that's a good place to pause you for just a moment, because you did touch on a good thing there, just kind of the Obama continuation of a lot of the charade of Bush. You know, you mentioned previously that Bush made this big show of, you know, winning and accepting victory. Obama sort of did the same show when he withdrew most of the troops, but as you said, not all of the troops from Iraq. I'm wondering, now that we've just, however many days ago, about a week ago, elected a new president from the Joe Biden in America. I'm wondering, do you expect to see the continuation of the exact same policies that were kind of continued under Barack Obama, and then, escalated under Trump? Or I just wondered if you could provide some insight into how you think that will impact things, if at all.
Well, what we saw in in the Trump years was, I think, an escalation in some places, like, for example, Yemen. Yemen is the biggest catastrophe, human-made catastrophe in history. A child that dies there every 10 minutes, and it's because of malnutrition. 80% of the population is malnourished because they've destroyed every single infrastructure there. And American and UK soldiers, led by Saudi Arabia, are there bombing every day.
With
and
US
the bombs, the bombs that are used are manufactured in the United Kingdom and in the US. Hillary Clinton actually made the biggest arms sales in history to Saudi Arabia, to the amount of who knows how many, 34 billion, or I can't remember the figure, but it was a huge billion dollar. And two-thirds of the weapons that the United Kingdom makes go to Saudi Arabia. So there's a very comfy position there. But we did see some escalation in terms of Iran, for example, especially when President Trump decided to execute one of the high-ranking military Iranian military guys, and we did not see any de-escalation of any of the war. So the wars continued. I mean, the forever war is there. And the problem is that I don't think that it matters who is in the White House. The United States has a military industrial complex problem, which is ingrained within a huge amount of agencies, all trying to get bigger budgets, and private companies who have a revolving door where they go into the FBI, CIA, Pentagon, etc., and then they come out and they go to the weapons manufacturers or the private military companies or the private surveillance companies, and then they get contracts from them. So the government keeps on increasing every year the budget for its defense. And I mean, you have to justify that somehow, right? And if you're buying guns, that means that you're going to use them. If you're buying bombs, that means that you're going to use them. So I don't see that a Democratic president would change foreign policy that much, unfortunately. I know for Americans, for a lot of Americans, Biden is kind of like we don't have this crazy asshole anymore, right? But for someone like me, I come from Guatemala, so I was born in 1981, the year of the Guatemalan genocide. The Cold War was a Cold War for the U.S. and Russia, but it was very heated in Central America, right? And the munitions and training training, military strategies came from the United States, and they were learned by they were taught by Vietnam War experts to these armies, and we ended up with genocides and coups in all sorts of countries. I mean, Guatemala, the second elected president in 1954 was the second coup the CIA ever made, the first one being Iran in 1953, and then went Allende and the rest of South Latin America. So I mean, there's been Democrats and Republican politicians throughout those years, but the foreign policy doesn't.
I just think the one thing that people may have been clinging to when it came to the Biden, inauguration, if they had any hope at all, which obviously Gavin and I don't, and that Joe Biden would somehow intervene and want to uphold this journalistic integrity, simply because Barack Obama did resist the pressure to, extradite Julian Assange on the basis of the Espionage Act, just because of the implications that had for free press. Now that that's been broached by Trump and Pompeo, you don't think there's any chance that he would intervene and halt the extradition, do you?
Right. So I actually have no idea. I mean, it's impossible to say what Biden will do he's not given any indication about what he's going to do with Julian. I mean, the case is active, and after January the 4th, there's going to be an appeal, whoever wins. If it's Julian, the US is going to appeal. That is the most likely scenario. If it's the US that wins, Julian will appeal for sure, and we will go to the high courts, and then there will be, if that doesn't work, there will be an application for the Supreme Court, and if that doesn't work, there'll be an application to the European Court of Human Rights. So it's gonna be years. I don't actually think that he will be extradited, because the case is so outrageous. But I don't think that, at least at this point in time, Julian Assange is in Biden's political agenda. He has COVID to deal with. He has the Paris treaty to think of. So at some point they might decide to drop the charges, but if not, we will fight until until the UK does not have the political power to do so, because by doing so we would basically ruin Western democracy as we know it.